This video is for people that watch the after credits on Rick and Morty and they understand this photo where it says, like, did you get any of that? Because maybe you never thought about this. I know I didn't for the longest time until I ended up taking some mushrooms and I watched the Rick and Morty that I believe I recorded back in December. It was like Rick and Morty, how everybody becomes one. And I became more aware and realized that it's just like when it says, like, did you get any of that? It's because Rick and Morty is not just a cartoon. It's more deep than that. And it really kind of explores the essence of like our own imagination, our own creativity, our own essence as people. Because I'll do another video on one of the other episodes as well. So subscribe to the channel if you aren't already to make sure you don't miss that with the bell icon on. Really lets me know that you're actually enjoying the content. I mean, I enjoy making it, so I'll keep doing that. But basically when it says, like, did you catch any of that? Like, go watch any random Rick and Morty episode. Just like spin the wheel and watch it. It'll be the exact one that you need to see. It's exactly like how in the Bible or the books or things that you read, like they're the exact thing that you need at the exact moment in the exact time that you need them. You might not understand this fully. I didn't understand it for the longest time either. So I'm going to do my best to explain this in ways that'll hopefully make sense. So like, we can look at Rick. Like Rick, he's an all-knowing being. He knows everything. He knows exactly what's going to happen. He's a king. He knows exactly who he is. Whereas Morty, he doesn't know. Morty's just a kid. He has no idea what's going on, and yet he follows along with Rick because Rick is the one that controls all, but Morty is the one that is there just to kind of be there. So it's like Rick, in a sense, is our unconscious, our subconscious mind, because he's all knowing. He does everything regardless of whatever Morty wants to do. Morty's like, oh, no, I don't want to do this, blah, 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 says all these little baby things. But then Rick's like, no, screw it, we're already doing it. Like, it's already done. Like, I've already made it. It's already here. Like, we already did this said thing. And now all of a sudden, it's became true. So, like, in the episode where Morty goes into Roy and becomes all the Roy people, basically, that scene is showing that, like, every single one of us is all connected in the exact same way. It might not seem like it. You might think that, no, we're all separate. Like, the person next to me is not me, but it's like, think about it. It is, they are you, and you are them. Like, it's a concept that I didn't understand, and if somebody said that to me, it wouldn't make sense, but I understand that the videos that I'm doing and the algorithm and the waves and the energies and the things that I'm doing, it's going to be attracting the right people to this said video. I just know that to be true, like, because it's happening in so many other different variations in other different places. So the people that are listening to this, you need it at this specific time. It's crazy how it works. I didn't understand how it works, but it works. And you just have to accept it as fact. I mean, obviously go test it first and then you can accept it as fact, but it is fact. And that's why, like, when it says, did you get any of this? All of a sudden it's just like, what do you mean? Did I get any of that? Like, did you get what I just said right there? Like, Rick and Morty dumbs down, maybe not dumbs down, and hold on. And someone's talking about me right now. That's what sneezes are. So Rick and Morty, like, it gives you different examples or different ways of looking at the world. The Marvel Cinematic Universe does the exact same thing as well too. Like, these universes aren't outside of you. Like, there aren't different worlds outside of yourself that are somewhere else. It's more of you deciding to jump from one world to the next. And I can relay a story to this. It's more of a story that my friend relayed to me. I've done it as well too. I'll relay his story, then I'll relay my story. It's like he truly believes, like when he did, I believe it was ecstasy or something like that, which, I mean, do or don't do it, it's up to your choice. You're your own individual person. He ended up doing that on his own. I've never done it, but I just need to give that disclaimer. Like, I don't condone it, but this is what he ended up doing. Like, he ended up having this massive ego trip, and like, he felt like he went to a different world. Like, he felt like everything that he had known and the people that wasn't there, like, he thought that he had died in that said reality. And then he was here in this new reality where people didn't remember certain things that he remembered, and yet he remembered them vividly and in the exact way that he knew that he remembered them. Whereas, like, the other people around him, they had no idea what was going on. And I was like, yeah, I can see that, because I've had experiences as well too, and maybe you've had experiences like that as well, where it's like there's moments in your life that you kind of remember certain things, where like things seem off, and maybe you get these like little deja vu things, like, I've done this before, but then you talk to somebody else and it's like, no, that's not true. Like, prime example, So today I was at the gym, and as I was leaving the gym, I introduced myself to this one of the new hires, and I was talking with some of the people up front, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I'm so and so." She's like, "Oh yeah, hey, my name is." She said Megan at first, and then it's like, "No, it's Kendall." And I was like, "So your name is Megan?" And she's like, "No, it's Kendall." And I was like, "You said Megan." And she's like, "No, you said it." And there's two other dudes, and like, "No, you said your name was Megan." And it's just like that was a different reality that I jumped in for that split second. And that other reality, her name was Morgan. It wasn't Kendall, but it was a very subtle, small little thing that most people wouldn't think anything of it. And most likely, in all likelihood, the people sitting next to her aren't even going to think anything else about it. But like me knowing the things that I know and the things that I've experienced, I know firsthand that that is something that is happening. Because then there was another story with her too, where she was drinking one of those, like, it was a ghost energy drink that was a Sour Patch Warrior Heads Kids thing. And she was like, "This tastes exactly like the sour Skittles." And then the dude that also tried it was like, "No, that doesn't taste like sour Skittles at all." And like, I was like, well, to her, like in her reality, in her universe, in her earth that she's on, they do taste the exact same. I didn't say it in those terms because like I didn't want to sound like a complete nut to somebody, so I used more terms of like saying like to her maybe she has more of a refined tongue or palate or something like that, and to her this drink does remind her of the Skittles, whereas to you, like, you have a different taste and a different way of like being able to identify the Skittles and the taste. And they're kind of like, yeah, that's true, because like we never know, and this is the biggest philosophical question that's ever going to be asked in the entire world, is like we don't know what is, if like if we're seeing the exact same thing, because she's using the stories that she has had to identify it with the said thing. Same thing with him. He's using the stories that he has to identify with it as the same thing as well too. And that's why it says, like, did you catch any of that? It will resonate with the right people, but it also won't resonate with others. And most people, they might not even watch after the credits on Rick and Morty. Like, if we think about it that way, most people might not even do that. But like, once these principles are understood and you understand them, that they are facts, that's when things start to become interesting. That's when the world and everything else around you starts to change and evolve, and like you start to see things, and you can like jump from different reality to different reality in the same way that Rick does. Because like when they're in one place where he's like, I didn't want to ruin my home to prove a point to you or a lesson to you, and he's like, oh, this isn't even our own reality. It's like Morty doesn't even know. Like, Morty has no idea. He has no concept of that, because he's the conscious mind, and the conscious mind just does as it does, basically. Whereas the unconscious, it's like, it's Rick. Rick knows. He knows where he needs to go. He knows what he needs to do. Like, and it just does the things without asking, without having any barriers in place, because the unconscious is infinite. It goes back up to just being like the base level of everything. I'm hoping this is making sense. I'm trying to make it as simple as I know how to. I'm doing my best, you guys. If it's not making 100% sense, I do apologize for that, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying my best to have these concepts and these ideas make sense through shows and media that you do consume, because it's like you're already consuming it already. So like if you're already consuming it, there's probably some other ideas and concepts that are hidden within the stories, because otherwise the story wouldn't be doing so well if it wasn't talking to us on a deeper level. You might think, no, it's just surface level, it's just a cartoon, like you're looking too much into this. It's just like, I'm not, though. Like, this is how it is. You have to look at it from a metaphysical, a spiritual perspective, because it's not meant to be taken at face value. No show is meant to be taken at face value. No book is meant to be taken at face value. No Bible, no religion is meant to be taken at face value. It goes deeper than that. It goes into like our essence as humans, are trying to understand the infinite, the void, like the reasons why we're here. And yet that doesn't happen if you're watching something that isn't entertaining. It's why entertainment content goes so far, is because it's entertaining. Whereas if it's not entertaining, it's not going to go so far. People aren't going to watch it. Like, people aren't going to sit down, and I know this personally, they don't want to sit down in front of like a speaker and sit on stage. They'd rather go to a place where they can be entertained, or they can escape the world instead of like learning something new. Whereas that's not me. What I do is I look at the abstract. I find ideas and ways to connect points together in ways that they haven't been connected beforehand, because that's the only way that like people will understand. That's the only way to kind of shift somebody's mindset. And if it's through an entertainment, and that's what Rick and Morty's doing, it's your duty to look at this from this point of view and kind of take a different approach than the one that you've been taking before. I think that's a little rant that I had for that, and that works for me. I'll leave the video here. We'll make this a little bit shorter than some of the recent ones that I've been doing. Like always, if you like the content, subscribe to the channel. I have a couple of other videos on the pipeline in the works in my mind that I might be recording after this one. We'll see. Then just upload them. And obviously, like I've said, maybe not obviously, but I am doing coaching. If you guys want to explore these concepts a little bit deeper, I never really seem to say that in the videos, but if you made it to this point, there's an email down in the description below. First session's on me. Like, I'll just help you understand questions, ideas. You don't have your camera on. If you want to have your camera on, cool. If not, like, no worries, no big deal. Not really. It's really up to you. It's just I've watched a lot of anime. I've watched a lot of TV. I've watched a lot of movies, and I've been able to come up with certain analogies that can help you, hopefully, not even hopefully, that will help you be able to kind of maybe come to a different realization. And once we start talking a little bit, I'll be able to like kind of frame the conversation in a way that will hopefully help you understand these concepts a little bit more. Where up until that point, I won't be able to do that just because like we don't have a baseline. Like that's why some of these videos do better than others, because like some people it resonates with more, other people not so much. But when it's one-on-one, absolutely fantastic. More than happy to help out with that. Because, yeah, I love to help more of you experience your true nature and true fulfillment in this world. So, yeah, session's only about 30 minutes or so, too. 30 to 45 minutes or so. I'm doing single sessions right now. Doing 5 people currently. I'd like to get into groups as well, too. So I might do live streams where, like, we can do this and then maybe try something afterwards. I don't know. I'm experimenting with a little bit, but we'll figure it out as we go together, as we all do with all things, and we'll just keep walking. Keep taking one step at a time. Cool. I think that's about it. I'll wrap it up here. I know I said I was going to wrap it up here in a second, but just make sure, like, did you get any of that? Ask yourself that after every movie and see what happens.